Okay, so today you're going to do a review, and the more I started to think about it, I got nervous that maybe you'd forget. So, even though I think I said that I was going to go over the review tomorrow, or have it like recorded and ready to go for the weekend, I wanted to go over a couple of examples today, maybe give you a couple of answers, because if you look at the assignment today, it looks like it's ridiculously long, but you'll see why in a second, why it's really not that bad. Okay, so for the first chunk here, I'm only going to do like a couple per chunk, or per type, I shouldn't say chunk, per type, to kind of help you out a little bit. So the first portion here, they want you just to find the slope. And just as a reminder, slope is rise over run. So like if we do number one together, number one, you need to identify 2 points, and they usually always give you 2 points. So we need to do rise over run. So to get from here to here, I go 1, 2, 3, 4 up, which is a positive direction. And then 1, 2 to the right, which is another positive direction. You cannot leave it like this though. Go formative will mark it wrong because this can be reduced. 4 over 2 reduces to 2, or 2 over 1. So just remember that you do rise over run. Also, kind of to help you guys out, like if you think and you are like 100% sure that your slope is correct, maybe it's negative when it should be positive, or positive when it should be negative. So like for number one here, if I read my graph from left to right, it goes up, which means this is a positive slope. So just keep that in mind. I think I'm going to leave the rest of them for you to do. Number 4, I will give you the answer to this one. If you were to, like, here's your line right here, and if you were to go up 1 over 0, whenever you have a 0 in the denominator or on the bottom, this is undefined. There won't be one like that on your quiz, so that's why I figure I just give you the answers. And then number 6 here, if you pick 2 points here, see how this is a flat line? My algebra kids just took a quiz over slopes and stuff like this, and I said whenever you have a flat line, think about your heartbeat. It's awful, I'm sorry. But if you have a flat line heartbeat, that means you have 0 for your heartbeat, and here like you would go up 0 over 1. So that's why that one has a slope of 0. So I'm going to leave these 3 for you to try on your own, and I'll go over them, like I said, another day, and I will be posting that video in the stream. The next portion, I keep saying chunk, I'm sorry. The next portion now is using your slopes between 2 points to determine if your lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And we just got done doing this the other day, which is great. These problems in Go Formative are 3 problems per 1 problem. So that's where like the problems start to get kind of lengthy. So we'll do these 2 together. And now these ones go this way. So like you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, and then it goes this way. So just be careful with that. So for 13 here, which I believe would be numbers 7, 8, and 9, they want you to use the slope to determine if lines PQ, so we need to find the slope of line PQ, RS, find the slope of RS, are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So quick reminder, parallel is when your slopes are equal to each other. So if you have the same exact slopes. Perpendicular is when they are opposite reciprocals. So opposite sign and then flip your fraction. So we first need to find the slope between P and Q. And I've showed you guys that how I find the slope is I stack them. And then I figure out the difference. So to go from -4 to -1, I go up 3. And then to go from -9 to -7, I go up 2. So when you write your slope, you go right over left. So it's 3 over 2. And then for RS, and just for fun, I'll switch up colors too to keep it more interesting. For RS, I have -2, 5. And -6, -1. So then to go from 5 to -6, I go down 6. And then to go from -2 to -6, I go down 4. So right over left, I have -6 over -4. You can't leave it like this. You need to reduce. Negative divided by a negative does give me a positive. And then 6/4, those are both divisible by 2. That reduces to 3/2. And then when you compare your slopes, they're exactly the same. So this would be parallel. So like this would be number 7. This would be number 8. And this would be number 9. So that's where if you look at how many problems this assignment is, it gets lengthy because of that. And then you would go to this one next. And I think I'm going to actually leave that one for you guys to do. So just using the same idea, obviously if it's perpendicular, they're the opposite sign, but they've been flipped. So I think I'm going to leave those for you to try. On the next page, it asks you to write the equation of the line graphed. And when it's asking you to write the equation of a line when it's graphed, you're going to write it in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So you need to know your slope and you need to know your y-intercept. The y-intercept is the point where it's crossing the y-axis. So right here. So here's 0, 0. I go 1, 2, 3 down. So -3 is my y-intercept. And then to find the slope, you're again going to do rise over run. So 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2 to the right. And 4/2 reduces to 2. So then when I write my equation, it's going to be y equals m, which is 2x, and then put your y-intercept on the end. I think I'm going to leave the rest of them for you to try as well. Then the next group, we go back to parallel and perpendicular. We just did this in the past couple of days as well. So here you just have to make sure your equations are in slope-intercept form, and I'm going to do the easy ones and leave you with the tough ones. I'm going to do 1 and 2 with you because these ones already are in slope-intercept form. If they're not in slope-intercept form, you're going to need to bring the x's over to the other side by doing the opposite operation and then dividing every single thing by whatever's in front of y. If they're already in slope-intercept form, like these two guys are, all you do is compare the slopes. So the slope of this line is 5. The slope of this line is 5. Since they're the same line, since they're the same slope, these lines are parallel. That's it. So if they're in slope-intercept form, like this one has one of them already in slope-intercept form, same thing with this one. So just be careful with that. Number 2, this one has a slope of -3/2. This one has a slope of 2/3. So they are opposite signs, and this one has been flipped from that one, so that means that these ones are perpendicular. So your answers are going to be words. Now, if you spell it wrong, actually I think these ones are dropped down, so I don't think you'll have to spell it. I think you'll just have to select it, which is a good thing, because spelling always seems to be an issue, especially with words that are a little bit lengthier. So I'm going to leave the rest of them for you to do, but just make sure that you get them into y equals form first. And then the next group, has you first writing the equations of lines in point-slope form. Point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1, where you are filling in m, y1, and x1. I'm going to do this one for you, just this one, and because I think the rest of them, you guys did really well with this stuff. So I plug in, I do y minus, let's see, here's my point, this is my x1, this is my y1, slope is your m, so I'm going to do y minus, y1 is -3, equals, my slope is -3/5, parentheses, x minus, my x1 is -5. So now whenever I have two negatives next to each other, those turn into positives. So I do y plus 3 equals -3/5, parentheses, x plus 5. And that would be my answer. And you do the same thing with these ones. And then for 5, 6, 7, and 8 on this page, you're doing the same exact thing that you did up top, except they don't give you the slope. You have to find the slope. So you're given the point. I'm going to use 1, 3 for this one as my x1, y1. You have to find your slope, and you find your slope the same exact way that we found our slope when we were doing these with the parallel and perpendicular lines. So I'm going to stack my points, switch up colors, again, keep it more interesting for you. So I stack my points, 1, 3, and then -3, -5, and I have to figure out how things change. So to go from 3 to -5, I go down 8. And then to go from 1 to -3, I go down 4. So then when I write my slope, I do right over left. So I have -8 over -4. And then you do need to reduce that. -8 divided by -4 is a +2. So now I have my m, my x1, and my y1. So to write my equation, it's y minus y1 equals m, parentheses, x minus x1. And that's it. So I'll leave you with the other ones to do in that group. And then the last thing that you're going to do, and I think I'm only going to do, I guess I could do 2 of these, is you're going to be writing equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. This was the very last thing that we did right before we shut down. We did this on Tuesday in class. We would have done this on, you would have learned this today or Thursday if you were in my online class. So if we are writing equations of parallel lines, so if you're writing equations, you need to know your slope and you need to know your point, because we're going to write these in point slope form. They're always going to give you the point. The slope, though, is going to come from the equation. If our line is parallel to this line, parallel lines have equal slopes. Well, this line has a slope of 2, so my new line, because they're parallel, will still have the same exact slope because parallel lines have equal slopes. So now there's my point, there's my slope. So to write it in point slope form, I do y minus y1 equals m, parentheses, x minus x1. And just leave it like that. No need to move things around. Number 2 looks like the same exact problem except for, so we're going to use the same point as our x1, y1. The only difference is we're going to have a different slope because now we're talking about a line that's perpendicular. So this line has a slope of 2, which is the same thing as 2 over 1. So a perpendicular slope would be the opposite sign, so it would be negative, and then you would flip this fraction and it would end up being -1/2. So now you use this point and this slope to write your equation, and you would do y minus y1 equals m, parentheses, x minus x1. So I hope that helps a little bit. I felt kind of bad leaving you guys hanging there and kind of letting you loose and throwing you to the wolves, as I say in class. So I hope that helps a little bit. But again, if you are struggling with any of this, pop into the Google Meet and we can go over more of them together. If not, I will be posting the rest of the answers later on, either Friday night or even wait till Sunday.